There are 4 manufacturers of baby formula. The overwhelming majority of baby formula that reaches the American shelves actually comes from American manufacturers, okay? And there's like 4 companies because every industry is now an oligopoly. And when one of them knocks out one of their facilities because their facilities are like literally killing babies because they don't clean it up, because that's better for the profit margins to just simply not put in the adequate protective measures, because they're constantly trying to improve their profits, even with like the complete control they have over the marketplace. You have to do something. The government has to use the Defense Production Act or some shit. And it's crazy that it gets to this point so frequently now. Like our supply chains are absolutely dog water. They are so fickle. And one company's manufacturing plant literally getting knocked out should not cause this kind of societal collapse, but it does. So here's the thing, okay? We need 5 differently branded labels of identical canned pineapple, but we really got to keep the baby food margins tight. Yeah, I mean, that is what it is. That is exactly what it is, okay? Here, this is the more common, like, MAGA way of fucking reaching out to the baby formula shortage, which is baby formula should go to Americans before illegals. This should have not been said. But not even the Defense Production Act. I think the government needs to fucking take over more industries. If they do not operate, if they are in control of something that is as profoundly important to the survival of like the next generation as baby formula, and they are not doing a good enough job, just fucking, tell them that we're going to nationalize it. Fuck you. It's already an oligopoly. Might as well be at the behest of the citizens, instead of the profit margins for some people that own these corporations that are never going to be impacted in any meaningful capacity by changes that happen to the market at all. I don't know. It's just so fucking, it's just so ridiculous. Anyway, the baby formula shortage is actually going to come to an end. That saga is going to come to an end, according to Brandon. Today, they have upped Abbott's manufacturing capabilities and are urging Abbott to reopen the factory that they closed down like last year. Baby formula maker Abbott says it has reached deal with regulators to restart production at factory tied to shortage. Yeah, their product was like harming children. It was so contaminated, and obviously they decided to fucking shut it down. And what I don't understand by this news article, or what I am wondering about this news article, is that does that mean they're gonna like give fucking shitty baby formula now? Like they're like they talked to the FDA and they were like, all right, shut the fuck up. You need baby formula. A couple people are gonna die. Who gives a shit? YOLO. Is that what it is? You systematically falsified records you kept on virtually every aspect of formula QA. Quality assurance, stopped testing batches when samples came back. Plus, for micros, engaged in massive cover-up when FDA came and refused to repair machinery known to be hastening bacteria growth for nearly 10 years. Because of that, even if you hunt down the real murderer of these particular kids, it's immaterial. That's got someone at the FDA to do their job. When they finally inspected, they determined the plant was unsafe, and now infants are going hungry because you control the market. Gonna get the divided king logic. How many thousands of babies consume tainted Similac and no one knows because 50% of the infants vomit 900 times a day? I used to pump in the wine cellar, store milk in the patio, kegerator, and Metro home with leaky bottles. Similac seems a lot cleaner. And Abbott, of course, was like, oh yeah, it's not real. At the White House press conference today, the press secretary mistakenly said that our formulas were tainted and killed 2 infants. The deaths of those infants are a tragedy. The facts, however, are critical. Wow, how wonderful, guys. You see that?
Some relief.
They're doing it, boys. They're doing it. This is what happens in a country where the government is not supposed to do what the government does, okay? This is what happens in a country where the government does do what it's supposed to do, okay? You kill babies with your fucking tainted milk, you're gonna get assassinated by the government, legally speaking, okay? That's literally legally what the Chinese government did. China executed 2 milk producers on Tuesday, this was back in 2009, for selling more than 3 million pounds of contaminated milk products in connection with a food safety scandal that killed 6 infants, shocking the country last year. And they got a fuckload more infants than we do, bro. 6 in a land of billion. And they were like, nope, no shot. The fuck out of here. More than 300,000 children were also sickened after consuming milk products contaminated with the industrial chemical melamine. The scandal caused panic among Chinese parents, weakened the nation's dairy industry, and provoked a global recall of Chinese-made dairy products. The authorities described the 2 men who were executed, Zhang Yujun and Geng Jinping, as among the biggest culprits of the scandal. Mr. Zhang was found guilty of selling more than 1.3 million pounds of tainted milk powder from July 2007 to August 2008, and Mr. Geng was convicted convicted of selling more than 1.9 million of contaminated product. When I read stories like this, I think to myself, maybe China is doing some things right. Okay, I'm not pro capital punishment, obviously, okay? But like they're actually offering some kind of legal recourse. There's some action being taken by the government. That's what happens when a government works still at the behest of the citizens, even if it's like authoritarian and a one-party government, okay? This is the difference. But in America, we have a semblance of democracy. Okay, we have the notion of democracy, the democratic protocol. We have the options of like voting for one party over the other, and they're so different than one another. Come on, like one party like actively wants to kill marginalized people. The other party just simply goes, "Oh man, not on our watch. Don't do it, please." And then that's it. The fucking marginalized people still get the short end of the stick. Okay, what I'm trying to say is, the American government for the most part is basically just to take money to milk its citizenry, get as much in taxes as you possibly can, only to then open the fucking money faucet and the money cannon back to the corporations in the form of subsidies without any sort of like adequate regulation. Regulation should have prevented the free market capitalists from completely monopolizing a sector, okay? A sector that is profoundly important to the survival of the next generation. Regulation should have ensured that even before infants started getting sick, that Abbott's plants were equipped with better productive capabilities that actually were controlled. But it went too far. It killed people. And then Abbott was like, yeah, it's easier to fucking shut this shit down and not withstand any kind of like marketing backlash. They already own every part of the federal government. Look, CDC concluded in its investigation with no findings of a link between our formulas and infant illnesses. We conduct microbiological testing in our products prior to distribution, and no Abbott formula distributed to consumers tested positive for Cronobacter or Salmonella. All retained product tested by Abbott and FDA during the inspection of the facility came back negative for Cronobacter or Salmonella. No Salmonella was found in the Sturgis facility. Motherfuckers coming to Mexico to buy formula and gas. Nice system you got there. No, it's awesome. The Cronobacter Sakazaki that was found in the environmental testing during the investigation was in non-product contact areas of the facility and has not been linked to any known. There was some, but they found it outside of the machines. It wasn't in the machines. Genetic sequencing on the 2 available samples from ill infants did not match the strains of Cronobacter in our plant. Yeah, they just got it on their own. Samples from ill infants did not match each other, meaning there was no connection between the 2 cases. In all 4 cases, the state FDA or the CDC tested samples of Abbott formula that was used by the child. In all 4 cases, all unopened containers tested negative. Open containers from the homes of the infants were also tested in 3 of the 4 cases. 2 of the 3 tested negative. The 1 positive was from an open container from the home of the infant, and it tested positive for 2 different strains of Cronobacter Sakazaki, one of which matched the strain that caused the infant's infection. The other matched the strain found in the bottle of distilled water in the home used to mix the formula. Again, neither strain matches the strains found in our plant. He's like, there was no strains in our plant. Of course, no, there was actually strains in our plant, but it wasn't actually interesting that, the strains that they found did not match the one in our plant, though. Yeah, we found no wrongdoing by the people that are gonna, come and work for us after they're done with their stint at the CDC. Why would they shut down their plants? Because they wanted to avoid the negative backlash they were going to get from this. This is why. Because they falsified records. They stopped testing batches when samples started coming back. And also, like, they engaged in a successful cover-up. And that's the reason why they shut down the plant. And for the record, yeah, it's cheaper to pay the fine and shut down the plant than fix the actual problem itself. Biologists here, if they're different strains and they really didn't originate in the plant, maybe they're lying about that though. No, we can't know. We can't conclusively know because they fucking did everything to undermine the investigation that took place. What we do know is what the company did in order to, 1, cover it up, and 2, sweep it under the rug and shut down the plant entirely. But the point is this: appropriate regulation in a government that actually cares about protecting the interests of its citizens would have already made it so that it wasn't fucking 4 manufacturers that make baby formula, okay? And if there wasn't only 4 manufacturers that make baby formula, 1 plant shutting down would not be that big of an issue. That's the point. Or the proper regulatory protocols would have caught something like this because they would systematically go into factories and monitor, they would have some kind of external pressure or some kind of external control mechanism to ensure that there's that they're showing adequate safety standards. But of course, it doesn't matter because, you got tight margins. Whistleblower warned the FDA about formula plant months before the baby deaths, by the way. A former employee alerted senior FDA officials to what he said were lax practices, including regulatory violations of the Abbott Nutrition formula plant last October. A former employee at Abbott Nutrition Sturgis, Michigan plant, infant formula plant, flagged concerns about food safety violations directly with senior FDA officials in October, months before the 2 infants died, and another was hospitalized from bacterial infections after ingesting formula made at the plant. In a 34-page document sent to the officials October 19th and 20th, the whistleblower outlined allegations of lax cleaning practices, purposely falsified records, and efforts by plant officials to keep the FDA from learning about serious issues related to the plant's own system for checking bacteria in formula, among other things. The warning came weeks after health officials in Minnesota had already reported to both FDA and CDC that an infant in the state had been hospitalized with Chronobacter sakazaki, a rare but deadly bacteria, after consuming formula from the same plant. Hard copies of the disclosure were sent via FedEx to the senior food safety officials and other leaders at the FDA. They included FDA's top official, then acting commissioner Janet Woodcock, Susan Main, director of the Center of Food Safety and Applied Nutrition, Judy Meakin, associate commissioner for regulatory affairs, and Catherine Hermson, assistant commissioner of the agency's Office of Criminal Investigations. In addition to the serious questions raised about Abbott's nutrition safety practices, revelations of an early whistleblower warning reinforced concerns about leadership and decision-making on food issues at the agency. The FDA is responsible for this as well. Remember, our regulatory mechanisms are riddled with people that are in that turnstile, the revolving door, where they will literally go work at Abbott and then go back and work at the fucking CDC or the FDA. They will work at the same companies that are supposed to be regulating after they're done at their job in regulating said companies. The FDA did not spring into action. Why did it take 4 months to pull this formula off store shelves? How many infants were fed contaminated formula during this time? Asked to comment, the FDA did not acknowledge the whistleblower disclosure nor offer an explanation about why the allegations did not spark more immediate action. Well, I'll tell you why it didn't spark more immediate action. Because they're fucking in on it. The agencies, I mean, it's regulatory capture. The agencies that are supposed to be regulating these corporations are working in unison with them in most of these circumstances. And as long as it doesn't like reach a certain level of fucking public outcry, as long as you kill like only, if you don't kill babies, if you just like poison them, but you know, because babies are sick all the time and you can't really figure it out, who gives a shit, right? Ultimately, that's the point. Especially because if you're a higher up at the FDA, you might get a fucking nice job at Abbott later on when you're done, you know? When you're done with your stint at the FDA. Dopesick did a really good job describing the FDA collusion. Yes. Do Americans not breastfeed? No, they do, but like, you remember, it's already fucking incredibly difficult to be a mother in this goddamn country, bro. Like, what do you mean? America is the only country that doesn't have mandatory parental leave, okay? Like, at the federal level, protected at the federal level. We do not have that. So, technically, depending on and especially if you're in the fucking working class, okay, especially if you're like working in the service sector, you fucking pop a baby out at lunch break and then come back to work. That's the expectation. When you're constantly doing that, it's a little bit difficult for you to fucking, you know, pump your titties full of the lactate and then ensure that there's a little bit left for your child. Also, yeah, not all mothers can breastfeed and not all people even have time to breastfeed. Exactly. And like... I saw this tweet where people were like, why the fuck won't more people like breastfeed in this country? What the fuck's wrong with American women or whatever? And it's like, or what did people do before formula? And it's like, they died, dude. What do you mean? Like, that's what they did. More babies died. You know what I mean? It's just like... That's what happened. Not that it's like it's exclusively formula that helped, but you know, in a country where we are basically punishing people for having children and making it as difficult as possible to like take care of our youth, take care of our fucking babies, when there is no maternity leave mandated at the federal level, the only fucking Western nation that doesn't have this, by the way, what the fuck do you expect? And then now you have 4 companies that control all the baby formula, and one of them was literally fucking poisoning children, allegedly, okay? And they shut down one of their plants instead of like doing a conclusive investigation that might have made them look really fucking bad and shocked the confidence that like the American parents have in their baby formula providers. Now we have an insane fucking shortage. Also, probably one of the reasons why baby formula is so prevalent, other than like the reasons as to why like people need it, is because titty milk is free, okay? Like in places where, you know, for women who do have it, okay? For women who do lactate and can breastfeed, that's free. No one's making money in that process. You buy one of those like titty suckers and then it's over. You know what I mean? That's a one-off. But if you have to fucking, you know, put people on baby formula, you make a lot of money that way. You can make a lot of money that way. That's an entire industry, okay? Not for me. I don't have a kid or a wife, and breast milk be costing me a fortune. Yeah, me too, man. Me too. As I was saying, the baby formula shortage is obviously a major problem, and it's a problem caused by, ding, 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 you guessed it, capitalism. There you have it. That's the beginning and end of all of these fucking stories, unfortunately. Another problem caused by capitalism is the top of the hour ad break, which comes at the top of every hour. By the way, here's another fun fact. about baby formula. These are international corporations. What, you think Abbott doesn't have fucking facilities in Europe? It does. So why can't we bring in European baby formula? Now, we already know a lot of the European health standards are significantly higher than the American health standards. As a matter of fact, in Europe, half the fucking food and the products that we consume on a daily basis that have certain kinds of dye, certain kinds of chemicals like yellow 5, for example, and my Mountain Dew that I love consuming, are not allowed by European authorities. Now, why is it that Abbott can't, for example, overproduce baby formula in one of their facilities in Europe and then ship it over to the United States of America? Because the FDA has strict nutritional standards. Now, but wait a minute, hold on. Are you telling me that Canada and the EU, famous for having way more rigorous processes in allowing certain kinds of foods and certain kinds of product to be consumed, have lower standards? They have lower standards than the American baby formula? I fucking doubt it. Oh yeah, that's right. As a matter of fact, the study conducted in 2019 found that major European formula brands met almost all of the FDA requirements for baby formula, yet authors warned that the differing instructions on how to use European formula might confuse Americans. European formula also has to meet some standards that are tougher than those seen in the United States, according to the New York Times. The European Union standards ban the use of added sugars like corn syrup and mandate that at least 30% of the formula's carbohydrates come from lactose. So they have better fucking baby formula. The same company that is making baby formula for American children has a facility in Ireland, for example. And that facility in Ireland is pumping out better fucking baby formula for the Irish, and you can't even bring that over here. Now, why would the FDA do such a thing? If the European standards are more rigorous and putting out even healthier product that doesn't kill you, why can't they actually bring some of the European baby formula to overcome the shortage in the market? Or why is the FDA actually stopping this sale? Because they're working in unison with the 4 fucking producers and their bottom line. They're working at the interest of the 4 baby formula producers in the United States that domestically produce like almost 90% of fucking all baby formula. They care about protecting the bottom line of said 4 companies, the oligopoly. Because if you open up the market to additional European baby formula, all of a sudden prices are going to go down, dude. It's no longer as profitable. This kind of stuff should blow your fucking mind. Like, this kind of stuff should make you so mad. Despite the lack of approval, American households often import European formula technically illegally for their own personal use. Back in April, U.S. Customs and Border Protection officers seized 30,000 worth of baby formula imported from Europe after the FDA argued that the German and Dutch products were mislabeled. The FDA also claimed the foreign manufacturers failed to comply with its regulatory requirements. So instead of fucking lowering the restrictions for the factories that the factories that shut down because they did not want an investigation to happen, how about lower the restrictions on the fucking international trade side? Why can't you do that? What a fucking gross and evil country we live in, dude. But of course, dumbass reactionary parents are probably running around being like, Brandon did this. It's because Brandon wants to give baby formula to the illegals. That's why I can't have my baby formula, because that's what Fox News is pumping out every fucking night.